What was that?
McDonald's nuggets are trash.
Did anybody else hear that? Or was it just me? Because I thought you had just asked me about the best pets in each tier of Super Auto Pets in the standard pack. So I made a list. Let's talk about it. For those who may be new, Super Auto Pets is an animal emoji auto battler game. It's so much fun. You should try it. It's free on Steam and iOS as well as Google Play. But basically, the concept is pretty simple. Every animal costs 3 gold. There's a bunch of different animals within the pack. I think each pack has something like 50 animals. And then there are 6 different tiers within those packs. So we're going to go over tier by tier. I'll break down my top 3, and then we'll see from there. For anybody that may be new here, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Both of those just help me know that you guys love the content that I'm putting out, and that's ultimately the goal. So I would really, really appreciate it. Now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start my list. We're going to start with tier 1. The animals that I list are in no way in order of like, this is the best, second best, third best of the pack. It's just kind of I went down the list and got what I got. So my first pet is going to be an otter. An otter starts out at 1 attack, 2 health. In the future, I'll probably just say something like 1, 2. Meaning first number is attack, second number is health. The really awesome thing about an otter, when you buy it, it will give a 1/1 buff to a random member on your team. So that could be really helpful if you have something, really anything. I think it's probably the best unit in the first pack just because of that. You just want to make sure that you buy it either second or third. You never want to buy it as your first pet. The next one in tier 1 is a mosquito. It starts out as a 2/2, and then it will do 1 random damage at the start of battle to an enemy. So that could be really helpful against a team that, has a horse, or even a pig, and just make sure that you knock them out before the round even starts. And then you're in a 3v2 situation. You tend to wind up being a lot better off because of that. And then my third one for tier 1 is going to be an ant. So an ant starts out as a 2/1, so unfortunately it doesn't have a lot of health. But when it dies, it does pass along a 2/1 buff to a random friend. So you do want to make sure that your ant is either up front or, second position on the first turn. Basically, just want to make sure that it's not in your last position so that way you can take advantage of the buff. And a 2/1 buff sounds like it's not a whole bunch, but in, round 1, if you have 1 or 2 ants, that can be enough to win you the round. As I was going through a couple of these tiers, there were definitely some pets on here that I was looking at and I was like, well, these kind of should be on the list. So we're going to do a couple honorable mentions kind of as we go. The first one that we have is going to be the beaver. So the beaver starts out as a 3/2. What I really like about the beaver is when you sell it, it'll give 2 pets on your team, 2 random pets on your team, a 1/1 buff. And I think that's going to be really helpful, especially as you transition from like the super early game into, the more late game. So, or mid game, I guess. So you go from, turn 1 with the beaver all the way up to, turn 5 or so. You sell it, you get a couple free hit points out of it. That's pretty awesome. Now let's go into tier 2. The first one that came to mind for me for tier 2 was definitely a peacock. So peacock starts out as a 2/5. Every single time it takes damage, it's going to gain 4 attack. And, early game becoming a 6/5, it's ridiculous. It's pretty hard to beat. There's not too many units that are better than it, on turn 3 through 5, in my opinion. The next pet on the list is definitely going to be the elephant. So the elephant starts out as a 3/5, making it the second most powerful pet in tier 2. But its ability is what I really like about it. So its ability sounds bad, but it will damage 1 pet behind when it attacks. So if it's on your, it'll be on your team, and that's going to wind up hurting somebody on your team. However, if you have something like a peacock that becomes more powerful if it takes damage, it's a really good idea to put an elephant in front of a peacock. You get a lot of attack out of it. And then the last one in tier 2 is going to be the shrimp. So the shrimp starts as a 2/3, but the shrimp is really interesting because whenever you sell something that's on your team, the shrimp will give a random friend 1 attack. I almost said 3. It just gives 1 at level 1, which I guess brings me up a good point. So every one of these pets has level 1, 2, and 3 abilities. So the shrimp, for example, it'll give either 1, 2, or 3 health. It's pretty linear the way it scales. The peacock goes, 4, 8, 12 attack. Elephant deals damage once, deals damage twice, or 3 times, depending on the level. So it's pretty easy to keep track of the levels and the stuff that they're going to do. But for right now, I'm just kind of focusing on something that you can buy straight out of the shop. But anyway, so you remember that beaver that we were just talking about a minute ago? That pairs fantastically with a shrimp. You sell a beaver, you get 3 health out of it. And, up until turn 5 or so, you can't get any kind of value where you get 4 stats for, basically 1 action. So I think it's definitely worth looking at. Now, with tier 3 coming up, go ahead, leave a comment down below if you think that I missed anybody, if you don't agree with any of my opinions. I want to, let's talk it out. Let's see what you guys like. I'm always willing to learn about new strategies and stuff. And obviously that goes for the rest of the video as well. I don't want to keep on bugging you with that, but everybody has their own opinions. Everybody plays the game differently. My tier 3 pets, I definitely have a giraffe up there. I think it might not be the best pet in tier 3, but I definitely like it a lot. It's your first pet that you're going to be able to get where it's really dedicated scaling. And what scaling means is basically every turn, some pet on your team gets better, right? So a giraffe will give a 1/1 buff to the pet that's directly in front. So, example, if the giraffe is in position 3, it'll give the pet in position 2 a 1/1 buff at the end of every turn. And 1/1 does not sound like a lot, but if you get it early enough and you keep the giraffe, that's going to be a lot of stats over the life of the giraffe. It can help a bunch of different pets on your team. You can move stuff around and have different things get buffed. And I think that's really awesome. The next animal for me is going to be the camel. So a camel starts out as a 2/6, but its ability is that whenever it takes damage, it passes along a 2/2 to the pet behind it. So, just doing a little bit of theory crafting for you. Hypothetically, if you have an elephant, then a camel, then a peacock, right? So the elephant will deal 1 damage to the camel, right? So then the camel becomes a 2/5, but it passes along the 2/2 to the peacock. So everybody just gets more powerful in the situation. So you do tend to see a lot of stuff like that. As you get a little more advanced in the game, you can start playing around with that as well. And then I think my final one in tier 3 is definitely going to be the turtle.
I like turtles.
The turtle is fantastic, not because of its stats. It's only a 1/2, so it's it's not going to go out there and win you some games or anything. But its ability is amazing. So basically, what it does, and by basically I mean what it does, when it faints, it'll give melon to the pet behind it. For those unfamiliar, melon will absorb 20 damage once. So it will take something with more than 20 damage to do damage to your pet on that attack. Meaning, nothing is really going to hurt that pet that's behind the turtle until, I don't know, probably round 8 or 9 if somebody's really going for like super attack heavy build. Otherwise, you're Soaring Free, you get 2 hits of that unit, so feel free to put your best unit behind your turtle, at least until, again, turn 9 or so, and then you can start to move some stuff around. And then quick honorable mention for tier 3. All of my honorable mentions happen to be on odd number packs. I don't know why, it just kind of worked out that way. It's definitely going to be the dog. So dog starts at a 3/3, but it'll gain either 1 attack or 1 health every time something gets summoned. So basically, what a summon means is if you have an open spot on your team and you purchase something from the shop, that's going to get summoned. If you have 1 unit and you buy a second of that unit and add it on, that's not considered a summon, so the dog trigger will not work. So if you're going to run a dog, make sure you have 1 spot on your team that's pretty open to moving some stuff around. And the dog does pair incredibly well with the shrimp because obviously the shrimp's ability to sell stuff, get the 1 in health out of it, or 2 or 3 depending on the level. But again, let's just keep saying 1. Then the dog is scaling, the shrimp is scaling somebody else. So you have 2 things that are scaling, and that's usually the best way to do it. Now we're going into tier 4, and tier 4 is where things start to really just start taking off. I don't know what the hand was doing there, but we're gonna leave it in. In my opinion, this is where pets really start to get good, and this is where your team is all coming together. It's the way you want it. So the first one that I'm going to put on this team is definitely going to be the hippo. The hippo is on there because A, it starts out as a 4/7, which already stat wise is going to put it as one of the better units available up until that point. But the best part about the hippo is whenever you knock something out, its ability will make the hippo gain 3/3. So if you're thinking with me, you pair the hippo with a turtle. So the turtle, when it knocks something out, gives melon to the hippo. Then the hippo knocks something out. Let's say, it does it in 1 hit. Then your hippo has 10 health and 7 attack, and it just keeps on going and going. Another good option with the hippo is a garlic. Garlic makes you take 2 less damage, but I'm not really focusing too much on foods. But hippo's the first like really just tanky slash damage unit that you're gonna get. So it's a good unit to put a lot of stats into, whether it be a giraffe or quick little segue. How'd you like that? Going into my penguin, which is going to be my next one in this. So a penguin, they just reworked it, but it now works on up to 3 different pets that are level 2 or higher. So as long as you have level 2 or higher pets, preferably 2 of them, unless you don't have a giraffe, the penguin will give a 1/1 buff to them. The penguin starts out as a 1/2, so again, it's not really there to do too much damage, but it's definitely a fantastic support pet. And it can scale multiple units. I think it's the only pet in the pack that will scale multiple units effectively. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And then my last one in tier 4 is going to be the skunk. The skunk is a 3/5, so already like it's a pretty good unit coming out of the shop, but its ability is amazing. Whenever the battle starts, the skunk will do 33% damage to the enemy's highest health unit. So, quick little bit of math for you. If something has 30 health, it's just going to knock it straight down to 20. So basically, it'll do damage at the start of the turn, regardless of if their highest pet has melon. And I think that's really amazing, and it's definitely very helpful. It's usually makes its way onto my teams if I have like an open spot available and like I don't already have a God Squad going. So now we're going to tier 5. So tier 5 for the most part is pretty much like the last pack that'll really be relevant. Tier 6 usually comes a little bit too late in your run. You either have lost at that point or you're like really close to a victory and you don't really want to move around. But tier 5 you can definitely add some stuff and still feel good about it. So I'm going to start this little section off with the cow. So the cow starts at a 4-6, which again, pretty decent stats. When you buy a cow, it replaces the food in the shop with milk, and the milk will give a 1-2 for free to any pet you want it to, and you get 2 of them. So I tend to just put the milk on one unit, i.e. a hippo, where I just want it to be, as beefy as possible. But, if you want to spread it out, that's totally fine too. The next one on the list is going to be the monkey. The monkey is my favorite scaler in this entire pack. So it's better than penguin, better than giraffe. It gives a 2-3 buff to whatever is the furthest right on your team. The only actual downside of a monkey, aside from its stats, it's a 1-2, so it's identical to a penguin, is since you have to put it on the far right, that means that if the other team has a scorpion, that the scorpion will wind up killing it in one hit. So if you are going to do that as you get later on in the game, definitely think about putting some melon on your front unit to make sure that a scorpion can't just one hit it. Because that can be pretty annoying if you have like a 30-40 and a scorpion just knocks it out in one hit. And then the next one in tier 5 is definitely going to be that scorpion that we were just talking about. So scorpion, again, stat-wise, not good. It's a 1-1. So the worst stats in the game outside of a cricket spawn or a bee. But when it gets summoned, it gets peanuts, and the peanuts are what gives it the ability to, kill anything in one hit, provided it does the damage. So a scorpion actually pairs really well with a monkey. If you can get the scorpion up to, 20 or 30 health, it'll be able to run through a couple different enemy pets before you really have an issue. The other good thing to look out for a scorpion, again, I'm really trying not to do too much food stuff, but just giving you guys some ideas. If you use a 1-up mushroom on a scorpion, it'll respawn as the base scorpion, so just a 1-1. Not too great, but it gets the peanuts back. So if you wind up running into a bunch of teams that have melon as their first unit, you can always do that and try that out, see if that works. But scorpion, definitely a good unit. And now we're moving on to our last one, tier 6. So tier 6, first thing that popped in my head was a boar. So the boar just got reworked as well. So it's a 10-6 right now, which stat-wise, phenomenal. It's probably one of the best stat-wise in the game coming out of the shop. Its ability, it will gain a 4-2 every single time before it attacks. So before it even attacks, if you buy it out of the shop, it will become a 14-8. So put some garlic on that, put some melon on that. You'll see some nice returns on that. So it's another really good unit, similar to the hippo, where you just get some tank, you get some damage. It also, as well as the hippo, works very well against teams that summon. So if you wind up running into a team, with turkey bus, turkey fly, something like that, it tends to work very, very well. Especially as you level it up, you get some more stuff. Although that being said, it is very difficult to level up tier 6s if you're not like really certain on what you're doing, because they come out so late. They don't come out until turn 11 regularly in the shop unless you get a level up or something. So they can be a bit problematic to get to level 3, especially. You can probably manage level 2 if you get lucky enough in shop, but it's really hard to like anticipate a level 3 out of any of these guys. The next one that made my list is going to be a tiger. So a tiger starts as a 4-3, so pretty average stats, but its ability is that it makes the pet ahead redo its ability as level 1. So for example, if you have a skunk, right? A skunk will deal a 33% damage to the highest health pet. If you have a tiger behind it, it basically just does it twice. So a lot of times that winds up being 2 different pets, or they only have one good pet and you just knock it all the way down to 16 health or whatever the math is on that. I've seen people do it behind turkeys, behind buses, behind flies. Really anything, any good ability is just kind of accented by the tiger. The snake is the last one on the list for me. It comes out of the shop as a 6-6. Its ability is that whenever the pet in front of it attacks, it'll deal 5 random damage to another enemy. So again, pairs very well with a hippo. If you're noticing a theme, hippo is really good, works with a lot of stuff. You should look into it if you're new. But yeah, it'll do a bunch of random damage. So you definitely want to put this behind something that either has melon. You could put it behind, I know I didn't cover it, but you could put it behind a gorilla, because the gorilla gets some coconut. You could put it behind any tanky unit, and it'll just do a whole bunch of damage for you. And could be enough to, snipe somebody's turkey or fly, and then you make their team a lot easier. And that's the end of my list. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Basically, it's important to find what's going to work for you. And obviously, there is an RNG element in the shop. You can't guarantee anything really coming out, unfortunately. So that plays into it. So that's why it's important to know a bunch of different strategies. Hopefully, my video kind of helped go briefly into some of those that may wind up working for you. And then also, this game is updated very regularly with balance changes and stuff. So that's why I included the stats. If any stats are like drastically different, or abilities for that matter, because those get adjusted from time to time. So if anything's like drastically different, hopefully I'll have another video to kind of cover that. But if not, hopefully I gave you enough information to kind of think about. And you can always ask me a question. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video on up here. So go ahead, check out my Twitch. It's twitch.tv/its_whistle. I do go live there quite often, but I play Super Auto Pets every single time I go live. So you can always pop in, ask me a question, say hi, tell me you found my YouTube video. That would mean the world to me if somebody came from my YouTube to Twitch. I started an Etsy store to get some webcam borders out there for you guys. You get a pack of them. It's $1.89. Look into it. I'll leave the link in the description if you are interested. I do offer custom colors if you're into that. But I think that's about all the housekeeping I have for you. So hopefully you guys have a good day or a night wherever you're at in the world. And as always, remember to do something kind. Peace out.